I'll produce it and send it to you guys so you can see kind of what this whole system looks like. And at the end of the day, my goal is to share who I am as a person through how I show up every day, through how I talk to people, through how I engage with the virtual world, through all of that. I want people to just know who is Justin, because at the end of the day, if they invest into America's holding company, they're literally investing into the value I create with my time in the past and everything I do in the future.
So what is your goal for your holding company? What's its purpose?
So my ultimate goal,
Yes.
I look at the tax code like the list of America's biggest problems workforce development. And one of those problems is social security. And social security comes down to how is the pie divided? And I look at it, I think the biggest problem in our society is we think 5 years is a long-term goal. 5 years is a very short time frame. Like when you expand life and everything, time is the most valuable asset.
5 years.
Like,
Long term, you're talking 15 long. That's the long term.
so I'm operating my goal, what we go through today, my goal is to do it every week for the next 100 years.
Bro, you're gonna have a longer lifespan than I am.
Right? And I'll die, but I'll pass control of the assets off to someone else. Because at the end of the day, companies live on forever. Humans do. And that's why I believe expand the timeline over the last 100, 150 years, everything has changed the way it has with the Fed and the way inflation goes up and the crashes and everything like that. It's all dependent on decisions that were made before that. Like right now, I believe we're going into a huge crash as a society. Like if you look at when the Great Depression happened 100 years ago, we're entering that era, is my belief.
We're already there.
Exactly. Exactly. And so in a downturn like that is where billion-dollar organizations are born. And so my vision with American Holding Company is to create an asset that is owned by the employees that help us be successful over the decades.
So these assets that you acquire, what are you planning to do with these assets?
We get home.
You're not going to invest it with
Oh.
private growth.
No, that's always the goal. So I look at me as the first step.
Okay.
Right?
The person.
The person in the idea. Huh?
Numero uno.
And my kids are assets, my wife, like, not to get super business, but everyone who breathes is an asset to America.
Yeah.
That's how I look. And so success to me is literally, I put it on my 40-year goal, would be to turn this into one of the amendments to the Constitution, give it completely away to the people, not the government. And I see there's a big difference between the two. So the people control the asset, because at the end of the day, it's one pie. You can divide a pie as many times as you want, but you always get one pie. And so that's where I believe where you invest your time, where you invest your money, the decisions you make every day create the life you live. And it's about who's on your team. And so my goal with all of this is to create a team of people who say, Justin, you're fucking nuts. I see what you're trying to do. I'm going to encourage you to do that. I'm going to go over here and live my own life. I hope you succeed over here because that will benefit my life over here. But if not, I'm listening to 27 bucks a month or whatever you subscribe, right? Because at the end of the day, life is about choice. Paying taxes is a choice. There are consequences of not not doing that. But that's just the way I look at life. And so that's my whole goal with this blog and everything I've done. I've been trying to explain this idea. If I go, so this is the blog, which essentially digital billboard, right? Every single person on this planet can do what I do. There's nothing unique about me except my work and the life I've lived. You cannot steal my connections. You cannot steal what I've done in the past and what I plan to do in the future. You can do anything I do, but that's the beauty of humanity. That's the beauty of owning your time. There's no one can see it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know? So, and that's what I'm trying to create on all of this. So I'll run through this and please ask questions. Because at the end of the day, this is about me sharing my beliefs with people. If they want to understand more, that's where questions and everything else comes from. If they want to get involved, that's great. Whatever. I'm going to live my life the way I choose. And that's the beauty of life. That's what I think it means to be an American.
Life is beautiful.
So everything I do is around expanding and contrasting time when it comes to production and what you do as an organization. So this report I update every Friday, and that is the main thing I'm doing. Because we're talking through it, that turns this from a prospecting done for you interview to a national tax strategy education interview, which is where I'm trying to talk through my beliefs, talk through what it is I'm doing. And so I do that, just come in up here and update it every week. Essentially, all my social channels drive to the blog, which drives attention back to service experts, which drives revenue into America. And so virtual Justin is what I consider all of it. Virtual Justin is ran by me in the real world. I wear the glasses, do the talking. Rosie's my virtual assistant in the Philippines, who's processing all this content. So as I create stuff, and once I get started with Service Expert, she'll be the one replying to comments and booking sales calls and helping me grow.
So how does your social media drive revenue?
So affiliate marketing.
Okay.
If you look at the website, there's a lot of different ways affiliate marketing drives.
Yeah, I'm familiar with
Yeah.
Okay.
So Sandler Training is my dad's company.
Okay.
I grew up in it. I spent 10 years as a trainer, coach, helping him grow his company. I left. We got a cease and desist letter because I was learning digital marketing.
Oh.
And so that's when I started my own entrepreneurial journey in 2018.
Oh.
And so I left on that journey. And so he gives me commission for leads and revenue I send. And then I get commission for service experts. And both that drives revenue in on top of the subscribers who are also driving revenue. So service experts is paying for all this because I pay for it and I get my money back.
Okay.
Does that
Yes.
make sense? So, and the goal is, this is how it operates right now. The goal is to get where it's operating more like Berkshire Hathaway, and we're just generating revenue, buying existing equities, shares on the market, and just holding. And then people just get involved through the subscription. When they subscribe, then they're adding value to the product. They also get ownership of the product based on that subscription. And it's designed, people can sign up and cancel whenever they want, but the multiplier is based on the number of years they're involved.
So
You-
basically, the more years that you're involved, the more opportunity they have to buy shares.
the
Is that
more
what I'm getting at?
ownership every W-2 employee gets.
So they're paying the same yearly rate, the same monthly rate for subscription every year, but the duration that they're part of the holding company. Okay.
So you have to add value in to get that. And it's just an option, right? Think of this like BlackRock or Vanguard, any of those. They're all options. This is just my version of that. So that's the business model. It's all built around you own my time. You own the results of my time, right? I own my time. I control my time. The subscribers get the results. So this is next week's calendar. Next week it will be service experts focused. Hooray! And then social media activity. After I got let go for my last job, I was like, I'm turning everything off. So I kind of stopped creating for the last 2 months. Then monthly reoccurring revenue. So right now we have $300 MRR going into the system. Active subscribers, revenue growth, churn. And again, these are all metrics. We're just going to track them every week. The system doesn't change, time changes. So then here's MRR subscriber activity. And again, I want everybody who's involved to know what's going on with the asset in real time as we're traveling through time. So MRR activity, annual run rate. This is based off 5 people paying $27 a month currently, and 1 person paying $150. And so those are me, some close friends that believe in me, and that's where we're at right now. All right, so year to date, I've actually been trying to explain this since 2022, not very well, but that's how success is built. So here is P&Ls. So next, I look at this like a labor union. In labor unions, typically the employee pays something and the company will pay something, right? And our goal is to make a union that anyone can be a part of, whether the company is or not, whether the individual is or not. So anyone can subscribe. The annual Christmas ornament subscription program is for the individual. So you get a RFID business card, the little swipe thing. I believe no one can tell anyone the most important thing that will happen in their life every year. So we give them a picture frame. They put them in. Right? We can give you a case to hold it, but that's it. Owner's manual. It gives you the articles of incorporation, the bylaws, contract. How does this thing work? How do you share stuff, all that. Next, you get a U.S. Made in America flag, and then you get a silver coin. And this is designed to be a collectible that you can sell as, hey, I have a silver coin. It is worth this much silver. Okay. What? Coin USA. Yes. So there's ironically a bunch of companies that do all of this already. And I look at myself like a Lego. Everything I'm trying to do out there exists currently. I'm just trying to put it together in a new way. That's why I'm excited about Service Experts. They're already a publicly traded company. Like a perfect fit would be if they come and acquire all of the Class A shares. And now we're, instead of, hey, because the goal is to go public, now instead of going through all that, let's just get acquired by someone who's already public. Do it faster. And then the reason someone would subscribe long term is the future of society investment opportunity. So there are things that happen every day that I believe drive our society forward and should be celebrated with that. So marriages, new babies, adopting a child, divorce, unexpected medical events, graduating college, graduating high school, losing a child, joining the military, or becoming a citizen. These are things I think as a society we should celebrate. And so it's set up if you've made a payment of $27 in the last 30 days, and one of these things happens, you pay an additional $100, you get extremely discounted shares that ideally you could turn around and sell on the open market to generate cash flow, or you hold on to them and build your net worth. So that's why an individual would want to subscribe and stay subscribed, because you can cancel at any time, but it's just like any insurance that lapses. The next product is the National Tax Strategy Education Program. And so that is literally anytime I try to explain this idea, I consider it part of that program. And then I take it and I put it on my social channel, I put it on that in the community where other people can download that. Because this conversation is one-on-one, because we digitize it, we could share this conversation with 1 million people extremely easily. But you can't do that in the real world. To get 1 million people, we got to do the Eras tour and like years planning and everything. And so that's all we're trying to do is leverage what happens in the virtual world, what happens in the real world, and how do they interact over time for all of us. Does that make, I know this is
I don't know
out
much
there.
about the digital world, so a lot of it's going. I know very much of food and like product stuff.
Yeah.
I try to learn, but like I really don't know much about this kind of stuff at all.
Exactly.
So it's not really beneficial.
And that's the point,
Yeah.
right? Can you agree that something like this could be valuable to, let's say Elon Musk was trying to do this? Would that make sense?
It has the prospect, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so all it is saying, hey, we're not there yet. This is the idea and process. This is where I'm going. Right? And I'm gonna make this journey real.
Just because it's fun.
Because the time's gonna pass. And my goal is to leave the world a better place.
Okay. So as far as the podcast, I mean, what are we doing?
This is it.
Okay.
We're just talking through this whole thing.
Yep. We all
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right.
So, but this is just my version of how I think we should fix it. And that's what I'm choosing. And it's ridiculous. I know.
Yes.
But
It's, I wouldn't say ridiculous, but you're fighting an uphill battle, that's for sure.
totally.
You're dealing with bureaucracies that have trillions of dollars under their belt, and it's, you know, it's a systemic process where you have to knock down each department before you actually get to the meat and potatoes of correcting the system.
Totally. And in a perfect world, I don't know what all your beliefs are. In a perfect world, I believe we as a society need change. From the very top.
Most people agree that the world needs to change.
Right?
The world needs to change. He knows how to go about
Exactly. And this is my idea on a way to think differently. Because that, I think, is what we need change with. We need to change how we think about each other. We need to change about how we operate with each other. We need to change the way we take care of each other. Like I think in a big way. And so my goal with all of this, the reason I don't care who gets credit. Like if Donald Trump heard about this and came in and said, hey, I think that's a great idea, I would get it. Run with it. Take it. Whatever. Like at the end of the day, we're all fighting the same battle. We're all on the same battlefield. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's just how I look.
You like it.
Yeah. So it's the podcast, there's a community, and then depending on there's 5 levels. So 150, 300, 750, 1500, and 2000. Depending on the level an organization subscribes to, determines how many shares every W-2 employee gets, regardless of how many. Because the goal is to collect time. The company's already collected the time, already monetized and controlled the time. Now we just need to monetize it from the company.
Okay.
Right? And so based on which company, so I subscribe at the 150 level. At the end of 10 years, I could have 120 shares because I get compensated the same way everyone. And that's why I believe this will work, is let's start at the very bottom. This is for the frontline workers. And so you see level 1 company, 120 versus level 5 would get you up to 1,000. So the company you decide to invest time with over the decade determines how much you get out of it. And we're all already in social security. Okay. Like you're literally forced to pay this already.
When we pay it twice?
That's what I'm asking people. I'm literally saying, hey, this is my opinion on how we should change it. This is how I'm changing it for my team. If you would like to, you can subscribe. You don't have to. You can watch from afar as long as you want. But at the end of the day, you can never go back in time. And the multiples is right? And so that's how I look at it. To take a PTA. My wife's the president-elect for our PTA for next year. Eventually, and full transparency, she does not understand this concept or idea and understand it.
Yes.
The PTA, we come in and subscribe at $150 a month. Every teacher in the PTA now gets ownership of this based on the years there. And then the students that they're teaching become the workforce that are going to build the asset in the future to take care of the people who built the asset earlier in their career. Because everything cycles. Like everything cycles. And all this is looking at how do things cycle and how could we control or adjust it to make it better for people today to chase their dreams of the future. Because I'm not where I want. But I feel like such a fucking Like full transparency. I feel like I'm happy. But I know in 75 years I won't. Right? Because I know what I'm doing isn't just about money. It's about how I show up with my kids, how I show up with my wife, how I lead my family. And so, like, that's why, God, I really, the last company I was with, I really thought they saw what I was doing. And so I didn't try and push them to understand the idea. And they didn't really understand it. And then it looks like I'm going all rogue when I'm doing just making decisions based on everything they've given me. And I got my way. And so that was integrity.
Okay.
So this is the why it seems like I don't have my shit together is because I don't.
Building process.
It's a building process.
Yeah.
Part.
I mean, I started my company last June, and it was right after like a horrible move. So many like things happened in a row, and it was just all shit. And then in that time, I decided because I had like planned on like this is when I'm gonna start my company and all the other things. And they're like, "Well, are you still gonna leave? Are you still like this is your last day?" They're like, "You can stay if you want." I'm like, "No, I decided that I'm gonna start my company. I know this is the worst possible time to go on this venture, but I'm going to do it anyways. Do I have tons of years of experience in business? No, but I know how to cook and I know how to relate to people. So I try to do that. And I'm about almost a year in, and I'm making money. I'm doing the thing. I have prospects happening. Some people think I need to do better, and I agree with them.
Right.
And I'm like, teach me. I would love that, but Sean's gonna help me with a little bit, hopefully.
Nice.
Teaching me just like those little,
Things.
those little things that you have to figure out because life's hard.
Well, I even see some entrepreneurs. I made a bunch of mistakes.
So many mistakes.
I filed for bankruptcy. I've done it all, but the thing is, it's part of the process.
I declare bankruptcy.
Yes, I have, but I don't do that. But it's part of the process. Like,
Exactly.
you're gonna fail, but you just keep getting fun, and you just don't try to make the same mistakes over.
Yeah.
I come into Idaho last year with this express company doing, plumbing and construction is something I've never done before. But it's like, there's certain concepts within business that carries over all throughout. There's the numbers, there's the understanding the market conditions, as well as understanding the clientele, understanding the relationships that go along with it. Yeah, I mean, just build off of that, and slowly you'll get there.
Exactly.
Because last year when we did it,
Yeah.
seriously, it's like July came around, we sold our Washington division, and we're kind of like, we were supposed to go on a 6-month vacation. But now we're stuck with 6 employees here in Idaho, and if you don't continue something, they're going to be unemployed. So we were at a risk, like, okay, so we have to take all of our assets that we just sold the company and do some vacation to pay these guys and bring them more business. So all of last year, we didn't make it. So I didn't make it.
Yeah.
And that was a risk that we all knew we were going to take. But this year, it's like we're finally hitting our stride. We're breaking even. Yeah. We're not losing money. And we're able to invest in more equipment to grow the business. Yeah. Here and there. And we're like, last year we were at about, as far as our sales, we were at about $700,000 for the annual sales. Yeah. But I mean, that's with 8 employees. Yeah, so all of your money goes to payroll. Like there was nothing, and then with this year, we're about to hit over $1 million, but we have 15 employees. So either way, you're like, we're calculating the numbers. Like, okay, we're breaking even. So it means we have enough for all the materials. We have enough to pay all of the staff and everything, but the very minimal profit. We're still in the building stage, but they always tell you. The first 2 years will determine if you're going to continue 5 years, if you still survive after 5 years, that 6th year should be your profit year.
Yeah.
So that's how entrepreneurship works. So it's a long game.
100%.
It's not one of those games where you think you come in and you're gonna have a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Like, these pyramid schemes guys, they come and tell you, oh yeah, come in here, pay this money, we can spend this for you. and then you would sign up more members, and then you can go on all this nice cruise and stuff, and then you're gonna be a millionaire after about a year. It's fucking bullshit.
That is, I think, one of the biggest problems with the internet right now.
People get enticed with big money offers.
And it's easy to make big money offers.
Well, I mean, people
look
at how many social media influencers.
Yeah. And none of them make money. There's a reason I'm going into HVAC and not trying to be a media company, be an influencer company. I just want to leverage the tool, because at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter what you do. It's a lot of work. Period.
Yeah, it's always a lot of work. If you're expecting an easy day, it's not.
Yeah.
It's like being an entrepreneur, you're going to sleep less than 8 hours. You're going to sleep less than 4 hours. That's just the way it works. Like last night, I went to bed at 1. I had to go at 2:30. There was an emergency call, so I had to answer. So I went out and did my stuff, and then it's like, okay, I'm gonna go home and take a nap. By the time I got home, but it was all the way pending. By the time I got home, it was already fine. So I take a shower and redo it all over again. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. So now I'm cruising on red line right now.
2 hours of sleep.
Yeah, I'm cruising on a little red line right now. But the day before I got 8 hours of sleep, I think I'll do a day for the next 10 hours.
Yeah.
But I know tomorrow I'm gonna be good.
Yeah. No, totally. And that's because I started my entrepreneurial journey in 2018, and I've been trying to figure this shit out. I think at least I've got some good skills around this, and I've been doing it my whole life. And it is by far the hardest thing. I think as a society, we need to stop and realize entrepreneurship only works because of everyone on the team.
Unless you're a one-person show.
Yeah. But even then, you're still on the team with your customers, right? At the end of the day, and it's over what time. I think that is the question I ask myself. It's over what time frame does this decision? Much. Yeah. It's a 2-hour time frame. Yes, what you eat is important, but where you work, over what time, that becomes really important. Where you work over a 10-year time frame is a huge decision. And it's just evaluating what are those decisions and how are we making them to accomplish what you want to. And no one else can give you that picture. Sorry. All right. So how this is designed. I'm the board of directors, or chairman of the board. My wife and parents are the other directors currently. It's set up to have 8 board of directors and 1 chairman. So 9 people are designed to share 19% of the organization. So these Class A shares have super voting rights, like now Warren Buffett or Mark Zuckerberg controls the asset. So 9 people will control the direction and stuff like that. Then everyone who subscribes, the only way to get Class B ownership is to be a part of the system. and you can only sell it back to the system. So there's no open market. You can't do anything with it besides sell it back. Then the Class C, this is 51% of the company. Class C is 30% of the company. That's designed to be a publicly traded asset. So we want to New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, whatever it ends up being. That's what we want to take public. And then currently there's about 200 in the bank account, which means of the 7,600 shares outstanding issued, 100 people could sell for $1.50 per share today, and 150 people could sell for $1 per share. Because the entire goal is to create liquidity today for our members in the future. And then this is based on the Class C share price of the day, determines the Class B selling it. And then you sell it over time. So if you said, hey, I want to sell, this is assuming a $25 share price and 100 shares. I want to sell it all today. You could get a $2,500 cash out. Or if you owner financed it over 20 years, you get 300%. So instead of $2,500, you get $7,500. But you get it in monthly payments to create a cash flow stream from the cash flow stream you have created. So you're putting money in to take money out in the future. So new subscribers, no one. Special thank you to all our sponsors. That is prospecting done for you. It is not an official Disney phone. It's a similar phone.
Like Disney gets upset about things.
Oh, totally.
They're all about happiness and stuff, but
in their own way, they like
to clutch the purse.
And that's the thing with this is about what are you trying to control? The more you try to control, the more complex it is. It's my opinion. And so the only thing I try to control is when the shares go out based on the time people have been in. Besides that, they control their own. So now that I have a full-time job, I am looking for a team to come in and do this. Because it's not designed, America's Holding Company is not designed to be anything besides a logo. It's not designed to be an email list or any of those assets. It's designed to be a brand that once one brand acquires us, that brand will have ownership to sell to whichever brand wants to own the asset in the future. Because it's all about working with the new systems that are already created. So that's team needs, and that's my little overview of this epic journey I'm trying to embark on. Right. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. What you asked a lot of great questions. Any thoughts or questions based off all of it so far? I know I just dumped it real.
My thing is, I understand what you're doing. I understand, the stock options and everything, but it's like the main thing is I'm going to be very blunt with you.
Yeah.
Is that you need value as far as for investors to put money in. And I think I don't know how to go about to think about what possible value you can add to this. I'm not saying that there is. I'm not saying that there is.
No, I totally get it.
I'm saying that
it's hard to wrap your mind around
you'll
that.
probably, like, there's got to be a way to expand upon the idea and add value to it. Because from an investor standpoint,
Yeah.
we need to understand a return on investment.
So,
Because when you tell somebody time is your
Yeah.
investment, they don't understand.
100%.
Because when time is, for most people, is something that is unfathomable sometimes.
Sorry, I have movie quotes going through my head.
I love it.
And it's something
Right.
it's something that, like, it takes a lot of philosophical thinking to really understand the concept of time. I understand it, but from business
I don't
people who thinks business people who thinks about money, time is important, yes, but a return on investment with that time is more important, because most people think on short-term value. I mean, for them, long-term is 1 to 2 years. Because you think of a stock, a long-term stock is anything that's seasoned over 1 year that you don't get taxed on, or you get lower tax on from the IRS. Now, with this, I mean, you got something, but there's got to be a way to explain the return on investment here in a better form.
And that's the hard piece, because the return on investment for a business owner is really longevity of the business.
Yes.
Right?
But some people go in there with a different idea of return on investment, because most people, from a regular blue collar person, it's like, look, I'm an entrepreneur, so I understand the concept, but from a blue collar perspective, somebody who puts their money into an investment, they think stock options, retirement.
Yeah.
They think, 401ks, IRAs, things like that.
Yeah.
So for them to not have that aspect being presented to them, it can kind of make them a little intimidated.
Yeah.
Because it's mostly ignorance and not understanding. Yeah. Not because they're stupid.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with that.
And I totally agree. And that's why, so I do my daily videos and content like this, is because when I first came up with the idea 2 years ago, I thought, oh, I have something to see.
But it's such a hard idea to
Like,
grapple that's why nobody has really gotten around.
Like, the first 6 months, I thought people would be lining up at my door.
It's just hard. It's
Like,
hard.
I've had these conversations. It's like an MLM. It's like,
oh yeah, it's like trying to convince somebody to give their organs for a heart transplant.
Yeah.
It's the hardest part. It's like, okay, what do I do?
Right.
It's like, so it's like it. I mean, I'm not saying it's like that, but that's terrible. But
no, I totally get it.
But it's it's something like that where it's high risk and somebody doesn't. I mean, it's not high risk investment. It's not high, but it's just.
But it is high risk.
They don't understand
exactly. Exactly, and that's where I call it an education. I'm just trying to educate people, because regardless of if we ever talk about this again, hopefully you got some information around how I think, how things could operate.
But what is your reach as far as your education?
So right now it's not, right?
Well, you got to work on it.
Exactly, and we're all working on it.
Yes.
And this is the hard thing. I'm trying to say, hey, let's change society together. But I need other people to go with me on that. Right? And it's getting people over that, hey, we need to see the value. I get it. I'm going to put the value there someday. But trust me, it's my life. I get to decide how to find the value. It's your choice if you get involved. And when and how. Right? Because at the end of the day, this is the asset I want to leave to my kids. Whether it gets, I believe it could change a lot of that if some version of this happens. But if it only changes 100, that's 100 over my head, right? It happens to be fast.
Yeah.
So how do you, and that's my big thing is how do you, like if you really want to know someone, you need to know how they process and make decisions, because how they think is how you get the results. It's how you build a relationship. And so that's all my content does, is try to share how I think, because that's what changes.
Got transparency.
Yeah, I got transparency.
Got
I got that in spades. Now can we do anything with it? That's the big stuff. Thank you guys so much for coming and